Here's the solution to day 3, problem 1. A ladder is leaning against a wall. Its base is 6 feet from the wall and it reaches 15 feet up the wall. In question A, sketch a diagram for this. So a vertical line to be the wall, horizontal line to be the ground or floor, and then diagonal can be our ladder. Something like this. And the wall and floor meet at a 90-degree angle. And so in a math class, we're able to recognize this as involving a triangle, and specifically a right triangle shape. Now we're told that the base is 6 feet, so it's this side of the triangle that gets labeled 6 feet. It reaches 15 feet up the wall, so from the floor up to where the ladder touches the wall, this side of the triangle is the 15 feet. And what we do not know and are asked to figure out in question B is the length of the ladder. How long is this ladder? Or in the triangle, how long is this side of the triangle? We don't know how long that is. In part B, we're told use the Pythagorean theorem to find that. In symbols, the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The symbol A is the shortest leg of the triangle, which is this side here, the 6. So that gets filled in for A. The symbol B is the other leg of the right triangle. So here at the 90-degree angle, the other leg is coming upward like this. It's the 15. And the symbol C in the Pythagorean theorem represents the hypotenuse of the triangle, the longest side of the right triangle, the side that's opposite from the 90-degree angle corner. That's this side of the triangle, the one that has the ladder on it. And so it makes sense to put the variable C in our diagram. Instead of choosing some other letter of the alphabet as a variable, it makes sense to use the letter C for that. We now need to solve this equation. So here's the equal symbol. And on the left side of the equation, these numbers can be figured out and actually added together. 6 squared is 36. 15 squared means 15 times 15. What's that make? 15 times 15. 5 times 5 is 25, carry 2. 1 times 5 is 5, plus 2 is 7. Start the next row with 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. And then add these together. 5 and 0 is 5. 7 plus 5 is 12, carry 1. And 1 plus 1 is 2. That's 225. So 15 to the second power is 225. And that's equal to c squared. Now add these together. What is 225 plus 36? 225 plus 36. Let's see what this makes. 5 plus 6 is 11, carry 1. 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And then there's a 2. 261. And that's equal to c squared. Now we'd like to solve this equation for the variable c. We need to isolate the variable c. That means we need to remove its exponent of 2. And we can remove an exponent of 2 by square root. So the square root of 261 is equal to the square root of c squared. The square root of c squared is c. That's what we were trying to accomplish to get the variable c alone. But what is the square root of 261? 261 is not a perfect square number. There's not a whole number that multiplies by itself to make 261. So the best we're going to be able to do is to find a rounded off decimal answer for the square root of 261. We can do that by hand or on a calculator. Okay. On a calculator, let's find the square root of 261. So the square root, 261, and enter. 16.1554, etc., etc. Let's just round this off to one decimal place. That's sufficient for the problem we're working. So we want to round it to this decimal place. To do that, we look at the next position over to see if it's 5 or higher, and it is. And so this will round up. We're going to get 16.2. So the answer for C is 16.2. In the diagram, that represents this side of the triangle, which is the ladder, and so we have found the length of the ladder, 16.2 feet. Now, day 3, problem 2. You charge $1,500 on a credit card that charges 18% interest, compounded monthly. If you make no payments on the card for 6 months, then how much money do you owe the card company? And here is the formula about compound interest that we can use to find this result. So let's begin by copying that formula. And then we'll use the formula to find an answer for the variable A, which is representing amount of money owed. To find that answer, we need to replace all other variables with numbers from this problem. Okay. Let's start with the letter P, the principal. What was the principal amount of money that we put on the credit card? $1,500. Now the letter R, the interest rate, but written as a decimal. So 18% written as a decimal is 0.18. Now N, the number of times that the interest is compounded in a year. We're told that it's compounded monthly. It's compounded each month, and that means it's compounded 12 times per year. So we'll put in 12 for N. And now let's work with the exponent in the formula. The letter N was 12 times. And now T. T is how much time in years that the interest is compounding. And we're told that we don't make any payments to the card company for 6 months. So 6 months of time goes by, and all during that time, the credit card company keeps adding on interest that we owe them. And so the time is 6 months. But time is measured in years. So instead of putting a 6 for T, which would mean 6 years, we're going to do 6 months, which would be half of a year. And so for T, we put in a half. Now to make this a little easier to type in the calculator, any work that we can simplify by hand first will mean less typing for us. And so don't really know what 0.18 divided by 12 is just in my head or anything, so I can't really simplify that up, but certainly the exponent can be simplified. 12 times a half, half of 12, that's just 6. And then we can type this in the calculator to get an answer for A. Let's do that. $1,500, parenthesis, 1 plus 0.18, divide 12, close up the parenthesis, exponent, 6. Enter. $1,640, and now let's work at the cents. We want to round it to this position, so we look at the next digit over. Is it 5 or higher? It's not, and so this is going to just stay as a 6 instead of rounding up. And so our answer for A was $1,640. Now, of that money, $1,500 of it was the money we borrowed initially, and we still have to pay back. But you can see in 6 months of time on this credit card that quite a bit of interest has been added that we also have to pay back. And so it's important we start to pay that credit card back as soon as possible.